What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I wanted to do an updated villain talk video for Gotham Knights. I kind of want to go over a couple different things here, talk about some villains I still want to see in the game, go over how I think villains are going to work. We have the updated Gotham Knights developers talk, right, about Joker not being in the game, stuff like that. I want to nail all in one kind of condensed video. I do want to thank Michael Watkins, though, who asked for this, and I wanted to deliver it to him, and so I decided, again, let's just do a bunch of different kind of topics, all regarding villains, all in one package deal. So here's where we're at, right? We really still don't know almost any of them, right? We know Penguin is in this game almost as like an advisor. I wouldn't be surprised if he turns on us or he becomes a villain, but he's more like he's going to tell us about what's going on in the world. So you have Penguin, obviously you have Mr. Freeze, and you have the Court of Owls, and that's what is confirmed. Now there's of course kind of like rumors of like a Ra's al Ghul. I think Poison Ivy was hinted at way back in the day in I don't think it was concept art, whatever the one art piece they put out on Twitter. So there's been things that are speculated, but then of course we had what just happened with Gotham Knights. We're talking about Joker not being in the game, right? Now again, you can, I guess, believe or not believe. I'm gonna believe it just because I don't really see why they would lie and outwardly say, hey, Joker's not even gonna be a side villain. I don't think you would lie about that. So Joker not in the game. They were non-committal to Harley Quinn, right? They said that Harley Quinn, they're not going to say one way or the other if she's in the game, which is as easy as saying she is, right? Because if you're not going to say she's not, but you did say Joker's not in the game, then obviously Harley Quinn is. Now, I would imagine Harley's in the game because Poison Ivy is in the game. I'd actually be shocked if one of the two, but not both, are in the game. So I'm going to go in. First, really quick prediction, say Poison Ivy is going to be a character in this game. So you have, I would imagine, Harley being added to the cast, and you probably have Poison Ivy. In terms of their role, so we've talked about it a bunch before. I really do think it's as simple as just a couple quests in like their arc, right? They'll have like villain arcs, similar, it should be similar in a way to Batman Arkham Knight. I think that was a really good system. I think it worked really well, and although obviously they didn't make Arkham Knight, I think, if you're gonna lift something from that game, that'd be a really good thing to do it. So that's how, maybe like an hour and a half per villain. You do like 2-3 missions for them, maybe a little bit more, and then you finish their arc. Now, in terms of how many more and who I think they would do or they should do, we've talked about it before. I guess the kind of the right number to have in this game. I mean, I'm still looking to have a bunch, right? The Court of Owls, in my opinion, don't count. And then you maybe have the Harley Quinn, maybe a Poison Ivy, you have Mr. Freeze. I don't know if Penguin would count in the same way that those other three, but you really only have three. Even if you count Ra's al Ghul, let's just throw them in as 4. I think you probably want to get that as close to 10, and maybe that's reaching. They could totally be reaching, but I'm going to assume side villains, not counting the Court of Owls, that again, you would do your side quests for. I really think 10 is a manageable number. I don't remember the exact number in Arkham Knight, but I'd imagine it's very, very close, if not maybe more in Arkham Knight. So I think 10 is pretty darn good. Now, when I was looking through the list, because obviously there's been a lot of Batman villains, I don't know them all, right? There's obviously the ones that stick out that we do know their names for. I really do want to stick to, I guess, maybe copping out, primarily characters we've already seen before, but I only say that, and I've said this before, because this is their opportunity to do something new with them. It's actually why I wanted Joker in this game as a side villain, just as a side villain, because I'd like to see what he's like in a world without Batman, right? What would his side missions be? Obviously, you get to kind of redo the design, again, right? They get to do it brand new. You get to do fighting patterns if you're actually going to be battling them. So that's why I wanted Joker. And I am drawn to characters like a Hush, right? We've talked about Hush before. I think Hush actually would make a lot of sense in a game like this, mainly because of maybe psychological damage he could inadvertently do to the Gotham Knights, right? Because it's like, oh my God, Bruce Wayne is alive, but it's actually, Hush. I think that makes a lot of sense, and they could do something, again, pretty different in terms of what that would do to the mental state of them in that side mission, right? I think that would make a lot of sense. I'm a sucker for like Bane. I'm a sucker for Killer Croc. I love those two characters. I'm a big fan of Water. We've talked about that before. So Killer Croc obviously, kind of rises to the top of the list. I know I've mentioned Firefly before. I'd like to also include that in. There's a couple I'm debating. I would be interested to see their iteration of what a Scarecrow would look like. I know Scarecrow's been done done so much. I know I mean, the last major Arkham game, he was the main villain, but I would like to see that potentially as a side thing. Also, Catwoman. So Catwoman, maybe not necessarily a villain, but if you're talking about just maybe a character in this game, I'd really, for the exact same reason as Joker, I'd really like to see what Catwoman, if you want to do her as a side villain mission, you know, kind of quest line, you could do that. You don't have to, but I'm specifically interested how Selina takes the death of Bruce Wayne, right? And I guess that is all assuming that they had a relationship or they did that, right, like in the background or in the back lore of this game. But I would really, really be interested in something like that. There's two villains that come to mind in terms of like almost like jokes, but I really feel like you could pick at least one, and I feel like it would be fine and you could get away with it. I would like one of either Clock King or Condiment King. I think if you could do one of those two, both of them kind of silly, and I mean, I guess you can make them silly in this game, but I would prefer, or I would like, I guess, one of those two, and they would be a new, you know, addition to the thing. I know, like, Mad Hatter is one that I thought of. Obviously, Arkham City had a lot of the characters, I will be honest, a lot of the ones that I know of have already appeared in things. A lot of the more, you know, smaller ones that maybe are more specific, I haven't heard of, or I just don't think of on the top of my head. I know you guys have thought of some amazing ones, and of course, you can let me know in the comments below. Calendar Man is one I've thought of, and I think you could maybe get away with Calendar Man considering, you know, someone like him, even like a Tweedledee and Tweedledum, like they're more like references of anything. I guess specifically for Calendar Man, he was literally in the game, and you know that would kind of evolve as the months went on in your internal system. But I like the idea of somebody like that. So maybe one of, you can add him, like Calendar Man, Clock King, and Condiment King, all kind of very, very weird. Some of them are more jokes than anything, but I think you could do, you know, one of them in. So I feel like if you add up, and I wasn't keeping track, but if you add up all of those, I mean, if you count Catwoman, again, if you did like a Hush, a Firefly, Killer Croc, I mean, there's 4 right there. I really feel like you can pretty easily get up to 10. I would not want to do like a Two-Face thing. I think that's been overdone. And you could argue some of the ones I've said are overdone for sure, right? Like a Two-Face thing. Penguin I would have been completely fine with if he wasn't in the game at all. Again, him as more like an advisor, and he's not necessarily a villain, I think is fine, right? I don't think that really hurts it that much. I guess I would go like that. The villains I would want generally, I would want mainly because I want to see what you know, WB Montreal, what they would do with them given a clean slate, right? Fresh slate, and without a Batman, because that's obviously going to kind of change how they act, or I would imagine it would. And I would try to prefer characters that have either had, maybe they've been in more than one Arkham game, but they've had smaller roles. That's why I say like a Killer Croc. Killer Croc is not a main villain of any one Arkham game, right? Scarecrow, you're on the line. Scarecrow, you know, he was an instrumental part in the first one, and then the third one, obviously, he was a main, but he quickly got passed over by Red Hood and Joker. So, I mean, was he really the main villain at the end of the day of Arkham Knight? I guess he kind of was, but at the same time, not really. So, I would stick to characters that, if they've been in more than one, they were like smaller roles, or maybe characters that had like a bigger role in just one and then were not present for the, that's why I say like Firefly. Firefly was like there when he was there, but he wasn't there in all of the games, right? So I think that would make sense to kind of bring somebody like that back. So let me know what villains you think will be in this game in the comments, how they'll act, all that kind of stuff. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up. And finally, if you want to support or follow me anywhere else, all my social media, including our Patreon, is in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.